It's a beautiful day today and we're back reading some more Am I the A-Hole, and it's going to be so fun. Every single time we go on this subreddit, it's an absolute adventure. And yeah, I get the feeling it's going to be no different today. I hope you guys are also having a beautiful day and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's go. Am I the A-Hole time? Am I the a-hole for saying that I'll call social services if my sister-in-law keeps leaving her child at my place? I, 30 female, have a half-brother, Enzo, 40 male. We're not very close since we were both raised with our respective mothers, but he's always gone out of his way to help me with anything I've needed. Enzo married his wife, Steph, 33 female, 2 years ago. Steph has a daughter, Alice, 4, with her ex, but has sole custody. And Enzo and Steph have a 7-month-old son, Teddy. I also have a 3-year-old daughter. Enzo and Steph moved to the city that I live in when Steph got pregnant, and since then, Steph developed a habit of showing up at my apartment building unannounced. It became a problem and I talked to both her and Enzo, and she stopped until she gave birth. Now she often comes by unannounced to leave Alice at my building for babysitting while she has to run errands or something. She's had her carpool drop Alice off at my apartment before. My poor housekeeper's a wonderful woman who's had to deal with Alice arriving unexpectedly while I'm out, and I feel terrible about it. I've told the concierge not to let her up and say that no one is in, but then I'll arrive to Alice waiting in the lobby, which is not safe, and the concierge has told me that I can't make them responsible for a child. Steph keeps on saying that she only does it when she's desperate, but I don't see how she can be that desperate to run errands at least twice a week, and frankly, I'm not a nanny. If she is desperate, she needs to hire some help. I've spoken to Enzo about it, and he's always extremely apologetic and says he'll talk to her, and I believe he does, but he also works during the day and can't police where she is at all hours. I reached my breaking point a couple of days ago when I returned from lunch to find Alice at home, having been dropped off since she had a half day at school. I apologized profusely to my housekeeper who'd spent time playing babysitter and called Steph. No answer. I called her several times, and then Enzo, who was on a business trip and distraught over the situation. Steph eventually turned up a couple of hours later and I went ballistic. I said if she ever leaves Alice at my building again, I'll call social services, and I'll call them every single time she drops Alice off with me until they do something, because this is not my job and she's an irresponsible and neglectful parent. She burst into tears and begged me to help out with Alice, but I said no, and I reminded her that I never said yes in the first place. She just kept dumping her kid here. Steph kept on trying to guilt trip me, but I was too exhausted and upset about the situation to be receptive, and eventually my husband had to tell her to leave. I feel bad because, as I said, Enzo has never been anything but the most accommodating person where I'm concerned, and maybe treating his wife like that was harsh, but at the same time I chose to have one kid because I don't want another one. Steph can't use my house as a daycare. Was I too harsh? Oh no, definitely not. None of this is your problem. Like, yeah, you like Enzo and they've always been good to you and stuff, but you're not the one who's making this a hard situation. Steph is, of course. And the bloody audacity to leave their daughter there all the time, even if they did message you and be like, oh hey, you know, can I drop them off? Because they do it so often, that would already be bad enough, but they show up unannounced? Yeah, no, they're 100% the a-hole. I feel like this is one of the most obvious ones we've read in a long time. Like, yeah, how could you be the a-hole in this? They are being an irresponsible and neglectful parent, and it sounds like they needed to know that. Yeah, 100% not the a-hole. Story number 2 is called Am I the a-hole for telling my kids that if they don't go to my wedding, I won't be attending theirs? I'll start at the beginning. My ex-husband was a good father, but a terrible husband. I divorced him when my oldest was 14 and my youngest was 10. Well, he ended up spiraling and the kids were exposed to that. I was blamed for ruining dad. He got better after a few years, but ended up doing it again when he learned that I was dating. So the kids kept trying to get me not to date since it will affect their dad. It was an awful time since to the kids I was still responsible for what he did and reacted to things. In the end, I just kept my dating on the low end, which wasn't hard since I wasn't introducing the kids to men anyway. All I had to change was not posting on social media. Also, yes, I sent the kids to therapy. They all stopped when they hit 18, or my middle child refused to talk, so I pulled him. The oldest is now 25 and the youngest is 21, and I got proposed to. They were not happy and they were pissed I was doing this to dad. Lots of talk later and I thought it was good. The wedding is in 2 weeks. I got a text from my kids saying that they won't be at my wedding, that they need to support dad during this time. I'd had enough and I texted them that if they don't come to my wedding, it'll damage our relationship and I will not be attending their own weddings when they get married. They were pissed and it started an argument and all of them think I'm a huge jerk. I truly hate that I can't do anything that makes me happy since it'll affect my ex. Sorry for errors, I'm on phone and not a native speaker. Update. I realized I'm okay letting them go. I can't do it anymore. I sent a text saying it's up to them if they they go or not. If they do go, I have hope to fix this relationship. If not, I'm just done. I can't keep playing this game. It's for everything. Anytime I have something good, his feelings have to come first. I can't do that anymore. It hurts too much. I could tell them everything he's done, but I don't feel like blowing up their image of him. Update 2. Someone private messaging me convinced me to lay it all out for them, so I did. Well, I got my response. They called me a liar, even with showing old screenshots that were in our divorce case. I think it's over. Thank you for everyone that tried to help. I've known this was a no-win situation. I said screw it, and I sent every single thing, including this post. Yeah, once again, of course you're not the a-hole. You're not responsible for how this makes your ex-husband feel. You're allowed to live your life and move on, and the kids are not being supportive, and the ex-husband is responsible for how he feels about it. The top comment says, not the a-hole. They're adults now, and they should realize that you're under no obligation to stay single to appease your ex. They're not the only people who've had parents divorce, and yet it seems like they can't get over it. And if after all this time your ex is still emotionally impacted by your personal life, then he needs to get on with his own life and get help, because it's not healthy. Also, assuming that they want you to go to their weddings in the future, are they expecting you to go solo and not bring your husband? Yeah, you're not in the wrong at all here. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother he can't raise his child in my house? I, 27 male, have had dreams of being a homeowner for as long as I can remember. I actually started saving for a house since I was 18. I bought does 3/2 mean 3 bedroom and 2 bathrooms? I am assuming so. I bought a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house 3 years ago, and while it's not the best house, I'm beyond blessed to own my own house. And home ownership is everything I always hoped it would be. To be able to come home and have everything exactly where I left it. To be able to play video games all day and have no one tell me otherwise. It feels like I'm free and I'm in control of my own life, which is what I've always ever wanted. About a year ago, my older brother, 36 male, and his wife, 30 female, asked to move in with me because while they can afford rent, they don't want to pay $2,000 a month for an apartment. Oh, okay. While I did not want them here, I reluctantly agreed because I can't tell my own brother that he can't live with me when I have 2 empty rooms in my house. Wait a second. You can 100% say no. It's your house. That's the whole point. I reluctantly agreed because I can't tell my own brother that he can't live with me when I have 2 empty rooms in my house, knowing that he'd let me live with him if I had ever asked him. And I was also fortunate enough to have family to live with when I was saving to buy the house. I didn't charge them any rent or ask them for anything, but they give me around $400 a month to help out. My brother and his wife have been trying to conceive a child for a long time and were finally successful in doing so. They're expecting in a few months. While I'm extremely happy for them, I also do not want them living with me. I did not buy my house for them. I bought it for me. Oh my god, surely they're not going to expect to be there with a child. I didn't sign up for having my living room filled with baby toys and having my gaming room turned into a kid's bedroom. I didn't sign up for my fridge being full of milk for a kid that isn't mine. This leads me today where I've asked them to move out before the birth of their child. They were both extremely offended and hurt that I told them this. Oh, get out of here. My family also seems to think that it's wrong of me to ask them to find their own place when they're expecting a child. Am I the a-hole for asking my brother to move out? No, not even a little bit. Edit, thank you everyone for all the replies. I'm not one for responding to messages, but I want to let you all know that I've read your responses and I appreciate your feedback. Yeah, no, definitely not the a-hole. And the fact that they feel like it's okay and what they get to live there because they don't want to pay for rent and also bringing a child into this. No, and that's so bloody annoying. Super disrespectful. The top comment says, not the a-hole. Your home is your sanctuary. You've been generous to let them live with you and save money for their own place. A baby completely changes everything in the house. They're loud. We'll have to eventually baby-proof. Parents will tell you to be quiet and not wake the baby, etc. You could have given them a warning that if they had a baby, they'd have to move out. But it is your home and you have every right to control what happens in your home. It somewhat sounds like they're planning to spend years living with you. I wouldn't want a baby invading my space. And it's kind of disrespectful of them to just assume that you'd be okay with them having a baby. Yeah, 100%. Plus, they shouldn't have been trying to have a baby when they don't have their own roof over their heads. And if people are upset with you asking them to leave, then those people should house the soon-to-be family of 3. Yeah, it's not like they signed a bloody lease with you or something. You're just being nice and letting them stay there. And yeah, like that comment said, it sounds like they have no plan of leaving, which never would have been the plan to start with. That's so unbelievable. Can't they see it from your perspective? I can't believe the audacity of some people. Sorry, this one really annoyed me. Think about if they did have a child in the house. It would barely even be your house anymore. You'd be like third wheeling in your own house. You'd have to plan your entire life around the baby. There'd be baby stuff everywhere. The parents are going to be way more stressed and they're probably going to ask you to help out with stuff. It's a completely life-changing thing to do. And yeah, they can't be doing that in your house. house. Yeah, definitely not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not serving a full meal at my birthday party? My husband and I hosted a 29th birthday party yesterday and invited 6 of our friends, 3 couples that we consider our core friend group. I had come across the concept of molecular food pairings a few months ago, and I was really intrigued by the idea. Some of the recommended pairings require expensive ingredients like caviar that I can't justify buying on an average day, but my birthday seemed perfect, so that's what the theme was, a molecular tasting party. I put together a total of 15 courses, but they were very small, just a few bites each. There was also a moderate amount of other snacks laid out and cocktails. My husband and I both had a really good time. We ranked the pairings, had drinks, and played card games. I thought everybody else enjoyed themselves too. This afternoon we got a text that was presumably sent to the wrong group chat that said, "Can we just be honest and say that the whole thing was weird? She's like this every year. The rest of us just go out. How has she not gotten the idea yet? It's rude." Oh my god, they think you're being rude? Another person replied, "At least last year she made an actual meal. I'm mad I even bought a gift." Oh my god, and these are friends? It doesn't sound like it. I sent a WTF back and the whole chat has been silent since. I don't know what to think. It really hurt my feelings, and I don't even feel like they like me at all if they talk about me like that. But also, if I'm making people feel like they're forced to participate in things they think are weird, that's a selfish thing to do too, and maybe they are right. No, they are not right. They are 100% in the wrong, and honestly, if I were you, I would not consider them friends. And talking about you behind your back like this, like what are they in high school? Yeah, no, they suck, to be honest. The top comment says, "Not the a-hole, and I think for your birthday you got the gift of learning that these people aren't your friends. If they were actual friends, they would have had a conversation about how you are like this every year, instead of talking crap about you behind your back. Going forward with a new group of friends, if you do something not mainstream, I would say, hey, I'm fascinated by the idea of XYZ. My husband and I want to host this. Would you be interested in coming? This way, if they don't, you still get to do this. But also, expectations will be set that people know they're coming to something unusual. I was invited to a blind eating experience. I'm claustrophobic and I have a very specific and deadly food allergy, so I said no, and I said why. I actually googled molecular food pairings and I've gone down a weird rabbit hole. I showed my fiance the article I was reading and he wants to do this now. Am I the a-hole for making a if he's not ready on time he stays home policy against my wife's wishes? My wife, 31 female, and I, 33 male, have a 3-year-old boy. He currently goes to daycare during the day. I generally drop him off and then my wife's mother will pick him up. My wife can't drive, so she unfortunately can't take him. I found that if I get my son out the door by 8:45, I can get him to daycare and then be on time for work. Unfortunately, my wife tends to drag her feet with getting him fed and ready, so she's caused me to be late multiple times. I'm in a field where I simply can't be late, and therefore the situation is unacceptable. I've been late 4 times since he started going to daycare, and my wife has only gotten less consistent. Last Wednesday, I realized that if I waited for my wife to get him fully ready, I'd be late to work. I simply walked out the door. She called me screaming angrily, but I told her that if she didn't want him to stay home, she should have had him ready on time. The next day, she managed to get him out right on 8:45, but on Friday, it became clear again that she was going to cause me to be late. I just walked out the door. She texted me multiple times, and when I got home at around 11 p.m, she had a lot to say about it. I don't think I'm the a-hole for my policy, seeing as I simply can't afford to be late to work, but I wonder if there's something I'm not seeing here. The top comment says, wait, you leave at 8:45 a.m. and you don't get home until 11 p.m? I'm not saying you're wrong, more info is needed, but it's starting to make sense why daycare is necessary. And OP said, I have 2 jobs. We can't afford our current lifestyle and daycare on my daytime job salary alone. And their partner doesn't work. And also, like they said, their kid goes to daycare during the day. And OP is working 2 jobs to support them. Oh, I feel sad for him. This is not a good situation. But yeah, in terms of whether or not you're an a-hole, I feel like if you communicated this well enough, then no, you're not the a-hole. But I feel for you though, because this probably isn't sustainable and it sounds like you've been put in a pretty bad situation or ended up in one. This comment, not the a-hole. This is completely and utterly ridiculous. You're working 13 hours a day, not getting home until 11 p.m. and then doing chores before you go to bed. Your wife doesn't drive, doesn't work, doesn't look after the kid all day and still can't get him sorted on time so that you can take him to daycare and be at work on time and not lose your job. The job that's paying for her entire lifestyle to do nothing. This is a bigger problem than the kid not being ready on time. This is a come to Jesus talk with your wife. Yeah, 100%. Like, hopefully the wife is okay. I saw a comment that said she suffers from anxiety. But yeah, this seems like you're gonna burn yourself out so bad. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for drinking on my designated driver nights? Me and my group of close friends go out to drink reasonably often, and we all take turns being designated driver in a rotation of sorts. The issue for me is that I'm heavily visually impaired, to the point where I can't and never will be able to legally drive, even using bioptics or other assistive tech. Instead, on my nights, I pay for an Uber or a taxi for all of us, which others have said is a completely acceptable option for them. The problem comes up with me drinking on my nights. Even though I'm not actually driving and can't reasonably be expected to, one of my friends expressed that it's not fair that I get to drink on my nights when everybody else holds back on their nights. In my view, it's not unfair at all. If anyone else wants to drink on their own night, they're more than welcome to pay for an Uber the way that I do every time it's my night. They just usually choose not to. Am I the a-hole? I'm no alcoholic or anything, and I'm more than fine going through an event or an outing without drinking, but I also don't see the point in holding back when I reasonably could have one. Yeah, no, you're not the a-hole. The circumstances are different. You're saying that you can't drive anyway, so you driving is buying an Uber, which you don't have to be sober for. And what, the friend is jealous because they can't drink if they're gonna drive? But yeah, like they said, they can order everybody an Uber as well and still drink. Yeah, no, you're not the a-hole, and that's super strange that they're jealous of you drinking. Would I be the a-hole for removing my 23-year-old son from my life insurance and not including in the will because he disowned me? I, 43 female, am currently serving in the army for over 18 years. I have 3 children, 25 female, 23 male, and 17 male. Over the past few years, my 23-year-old son has been genuinely upset that I won't transfer my GI Bill to him. Those unfamiliar with the military, service members are able to transfer their education benefits to their spouse or children after serving a certain amount of time. However, I accidentally exhausted my GI Bill. My daughter and older son never really showed interest in college, nor were my son's grades the best. Once my son moved out after high school, our communication was minimal. Our relationship prior to him moving out was also strained. As a parent, I hope I'm not the only one to say that my son and I just didn't really get along and could never seem to connect. As he got older and got worse the older he got, about 2 years of him going no contact, he messaged me, not to ask how we were doing or anything, but straight to the point that it's my fault that he no longer qualifies for grants due to our incomes combined, and why did I not transfer my GI Bill to him? I informed him that I exhausted it and that he was more than welcome to speak to a recruiter. He then said I should have set 50 to 100 aside each month to pay for his college. At this point, I called him entitled and I told him I don't owe him anything once he moved out of my household. A summarized conversation. We go no contact again for a little over a year, and recently another message straight to the point, asking how I exhausted my GI Bill. Again, told him that he can go see a recruiter about it. Nonetheless, this conversation still ended on that I should be responsible for his college. Let it be clear, before I joined the army, I was a single parent having my first child at 17, living in poverty, making less than 11 grand a year. I joined the army at 25, paying for college tuition out of pocket was never an option. I did the best I could as a parent, and I know I would never win Mother of the Year. In both conversations, I did apologize for the mistakes I made along the way, but this conversation ended with him stating he doesn't view me as his mother and blocked me on everything. He made it clear to his sister that he does not view me as his mother, and I'm nothing more than an egg donor. It's time for me to update my life insurance and do a will, and I'm considering excluding him. Would I be the a-hole? I don't know about this one. I don't feel like I can even really say. I feel like there's a lot missing here. I don't feel like they're gonna disown them for no reason. There has to be so much more context to this. But yeah, I suppose that's not what they're asking. Cause yeah, would you be the a-hole if you took them out of the will? I don't think so, but yeah, there's obviously a lot more issues going on behind the scenes. The next one says, am I the a-hole for refusing to make vegan mashed potatoes? So I normally host Thanksgiving, but we do it potluck style. I did the turkey and homemade mashed potatoes for about 40 people. It's a lot. I normally wouldn't have mind, but my brother, since being put out of the nest, shows up empty-handed every damn holiday. He doesn't even buy gifts for Christmas or anything because he's broke. That's fine, but it seems rude to me when everyone brings something, even if it's a bottle of soda or wine. He invited his girlfriend and basically demanded that I make part of the mashed potatoes vegan. Normally I wouldn't care, but my brother doesn't do crap, so if I told him that if he wants a special dish for his girlfriend, he can make it. Our older single brother literally does an amazing ham and Brussels sprouts dish, so it's not like my younger brother was taught that men can't cook, so I think he can manage the vegan mashed potatoes for one. My brother called me a biatch and is threatening not to come to Thanksgiving now, and my mum feels like I should do a compromise. I said okay, and my brother can host it at his apartment with his 4 roommates because he wants to act entitled over mashed potatoes. My mum backtracked when she realized I will not be disrespected and host a meal that I have done for the last 5 years, but my brother still refuses to come. Yeah, no, you're definitely not the a-hole. And like the top comment says, compromise by asking your mum to do the vegan mashed potatoes, not the a-hole. And yeah, on that note, I feel like that's enough for this subreddit for today. It's definitely wholesome memes time. Your definition of a good day will look different from other people's. Slept 6+ hours and cleaned room and took a walk, finished 2 tasks in the morning, scheduled next week, high productivity, hung out with friends, laughed a lot and full of food, read a book, learned a cool fact, and didn't worry too much. Yeah, exactly. And every single one of these is a good day. And one person can have all of these different days as well. And they're all good. That's beautiful. When I meet a stranger for the second time in the same day at another location, hey, oh my god, it's you again. That's so funny because it's so true. Like, wait a second, I saw you before. Can we please be best friends? Bed doesn't ask any questions. Bed doesn't judge you. Bed is just warm and soft. Bed is always there for you. Bed is nice. Yeah, 100%. And how comfy does that look? Yeah, damn right though. Bed is beautiful. Okay, that's enough for today. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did and you want to see more Am I the A-hole, make sure you like and subscribe. And the comment of the day today goes to Squid Doodly. I quit watching a Vincey video to watch a different Vincey video. I love having it in the background while doing tasks. Oh, Squid Doodly, you're too kind. I really appreciate the support. And I'm so happy you enjoyed the episodes. Also, thank you for having a funny username. I quite enjoyed saying Squidoodly. Okay, I'm out of here. Thanks again for all your support, guys. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!